Okay, well here we are, step number 17. This one's called Elon Musk's 14-hour workday versus the 4-hour work week, the myths of our time. And this one is all about how you may be confused or have felt misled on what exactly kind of effort it's going to take to achieve your goals and to make it. We start off this lesson with a quote from Elon Musk. I'd be surprised if you don't know who Elon Musk is if you're watching content like this. Excuse me. But Elon Musk is co-founder of PayPal. As of 2022, the richest person on the planet. He's also the man behind Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City. And he's quoted as saying, "If you work 100 hours a week when everybody else is working 40, you'll accomplish in a few months what takes the average person a year." And that's in heavy contrast to the book and the title of this, called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. You may, if you didn't read that book and you just looked at the title, it certainly probably got your attention. It's certainly a sexy title. But there's something wrong with if that appeals to you. If wherever this idea came from that it's desirable to work less, let that be a clue to you that you're probably doing the wrong thing, because really you should want to do more of what you're doing. And Ty defies you and I to name anyone in history that had any positive impact that only worked 4 hours a week on what they did. The idea that you can just work 4 hours a week at something and just be a millionaire or a billionaire is not true. And it's important too to remember that the reason Elon Musk is the richest person on the planet is not just because he put in more hours. You know, we certainly all know people that work 50 to 80 hours a week that still are struggling and barely can get by, because you're paid in proportion to the value you bring to the world. The reason Elon Musk is building rockets and making billions and billions and billions of dollars is because he's solving a much larger problem. He's not as replaceable as someone that's just flipping burgers. You flip burgers and you make, $10 an hour. It's because you're not very inimitable. You're easily replaceable. And it's important to remember that fact. You always want to ask, if I want to make more money, am I doing something that's bringing a lot of value to the world? I feel like me doing these videos is somewhat replaceable. I suppose a lot of people could sit up here and just talk about what they're learning, but these lessons are extremely valuable and they're hard to find elsewhere. And it's important also to remember that it's certainly going to take a lot of work to be successful and be healthy, wealthy, and well. No one argues with that idea. And, you got this book right here by Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's, called Grinding It Out. Notice what it is entitled. It is entitled The Day I Made It, or Success in 2 Steps. It suggests that success was a continual process and it was a lot of grunt work. But we also learn about Thomas Edison, certainly one of the most important people in modern history, and he died with 1,100 patents to his name. And he said, "I wonder what would have happened to me if some fluent talker, some persuasive talker had converted me to the theory of the 8-hour day and convinced me that it was not fair to my fellow workers to put forth my best effort." Here's Thomas Edison talking about he's lucky that he wasn't convinced to only work 8 hours a day. Then you got Tim Ferriss talking about that you can get something done in working only 4 hours a week. It's not true. And to defend Tim Ferriss's idea, it's not necessarily a book about working less. It's more about optimizing efficiency. And certainly there are some, you don't have to do everything. There are some things you can outsource, but remember the basic idea that Ty talks about. You can't outsource what you don't know. You may have a certain profession and you can certainly outsource or hire an accountant, but you can't and shouldn't hire your accountant to do your accounting for your business without reading at least one accounting book. Because remember Sam Walton's over-the-shoulder management style. You want to trust but verify. You can hire the accountant, but you should have the 411 information about accounting so that person doesn't necessarily take advantage of you, doesn't make mistakes, and you can have a much more realistic time frame and kind of price line on what you're hiring them to do. You know, I'm not a mechanic, but before I hire my mechanic to do maintenance on my vehicle, I read the owner's manual so I know approximately the expense and the time that it's going to take for them to do a certain task. So I know they can't take advantage of me. And not to say that they would, but there's comfort in keeping someone honest and just keeping someone on their back heel. But yeah, there's certain things that you can outsource. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger couldn't outsource his bench presses. He could certainly hire Joe Weider in his early bodybuilding development to help him organize his training regimen, but you still need to do the exercises. And happiness comes from feeling useful and to feeling like you're contributing to the world. You know, Ty gives that example, I think he said when he was in New Zealand, of a guy that had won $20 million in the lottery, and then he was outside mowing his grass. And when Ty asked him, if you have all that money in the bank, why are you mowing your own grass? And the guy said, because I got bored. He didn't have the grind anymore. So we think that we'd be happy if we could just retire and go to the Bahamas and sip Mai Tais and just relax. But really, happiness comes from mastering skills, and happiness comes from achievement. And so it's important to remember that. And again, I may be repeating myself, but if you find yourself wanting to do less of what you're doing, it may be because you're lazy, but check if it's also something you even like doing. Because it's probably, if you want to do less of something, if you can't wait to get away from someone or something, you're probably around the wrong person and you're probably doing the wrong thing. You know, one of the best ways to figure out if you're doing the right thing, Ty says, is an indicator of time. And he says, don't try to optimize things that you don't really want to do well. You know, we all want to optimize our health. We all want to be healthy. But Ty says he doesn't do the things to be healthy that he doesn't like doing. So he hates jogging. He hates running on the treadmill. So he simply doesn't do that stuff. Instead, he plays basketball to be healthy. I don't like running on the treadmill either. I hate it. I never do it ever. But I love being on the elliptical. I love jiu-jitsu class. I love swimming. I love hiking. So I just do those things because it's really hard to focus on things you don't like doing. And so the key takeaway of this is become addicted to positive grinds, basically. And the episode, or excuse me, the question at the end of this episode is, what is a place you go or something you do where you don't even think about looking at your clock? Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next lesson. Take care.